that you're joining for is the Financial Aid Application Completion Initiative. My name is Ana Moya, and I am a Professional Development Specialist here with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. And we are going to be recording this webinar. We do upload some of the webinars online, but if you are having trouble connecting audio through your computer, I got the thumbs up from my colleagues that they are able to hear me. So if one of your colleagues is joining you and they're letting you know that they just see my mouth moving, just let them know too that they can also connect through audio through their computer using through their phone using the Call Me option. We are also going to be having the Q&A feature in order for you all to be able to ask questions. So that is going to be, if you're on your desktop on the bottom right corner of the screen, it's a little box with a question mark. You're able to ask your questions and my colleagues are able to help answer those questions as well. We are going to have a ton of offerings coming up this spring as well. I know you are. All right, someone. Are you all able to see my screen?
No.
Oh, I'm sharing the file.
Selma, can you see anything? Because I can't.
No, I can't see your screen either.
Oh, okay, so sorry about that. Let me try one more time. Thanks, Tommy. Okay, how about now? Oh, wait, it's loading. Are you able to see my presentation?
No. Oh,
Yeah,
Barb.
I can't, but someone in the Q&A said, Barb said she can, or they can.
Thank you so much, Barb. Okay. Oh, that's so weird.
David said yes. That's so weird.
We're getting a mix. Let me try sharing, instead of sharing the file, sharing my PowerPoint. Sorry about that. How about now?
I can see it.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Please let us know on the Q&A. I want to make sure that everybody can see the content. If you cannot see it, just let us know.
Yes, everyone's saying they can.
Okay, perfect. All right, sorry about that. So everything's going to be uploaded on our website, including all of the trainings that we are going to have for the spring and all of the offerings. And then continuing education and professional development hours are going to be available. Those are going to be posted on the chat at the end of this presentation. For those of you who don't know who we are, as I said, the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, our mission statement is providing Illinois students with information and assistance to help make education beyond high school accessible and affordable. We are known at the schools as the FAFSA people, or the agency that administers the MAP grant. So we do administer the MAP grant, and we administer all other scholarships and grants to students across the state of Illinois. Specifically, our side of the division, the professional development team, we do provide professional development offerings on everything from navigating the financial aid process, resources and support for unrepresented students, and understanding student repayment forgiveness programs. We also have, as part of ISAC, our ISAC core to assist schools with financial aid applications and also just overall the college grant process. It's an additional support available to schools. For the agenda for today, we have it's broken up into 2 items. It's going to be the Illinois financial aid application graduation requirement, which I think we are at a point in the year where a lot of schools are just overall familiar with it, right? The financial aid application completion initiative and how that supports schools with the graduation requirement. For the Illinois financial aid application graduation requirement. So the Universal Free Application for Federal Student Aid FAFSA completion policy, there are 12 states that have adopted the policy, being that it is going to be a requirement for students in that state if they're going to public schools, for them to have to complete a financial aid application. The law does call it the FAFSA completion policy overall. But here in the state of Illinois is a financial aid application. So like I just mentioned, here in the state of Illinois, we do have the policy for it to be any financial aid application, meaning the FAFSA, the alternative application, or the non-participation form. So each state determines how the criteria for the policy is going to be implemented. For ours, it did take effect in the school year of 2020-2021. This is why I mentioned that this is not something that's super new to us, but we are still continuing to see what are going to be some ways that we can support schools in helping them complete or meet this requirement. Just want to really highlight the state of Illinois is one of those states that has had really high completion rates. We had been in the 60% range prior to this policy taking place. So the numbers have always been high just because of also some of the supports that are available. CPS has always had it be part of their graduation requirement, the Chicago Public Schools. And overall, we do offer support throughout the entire state to help meet the completion prior to it being a requirement. For Illinois specifically, it does require anyone in public high schools for them to complete a financial aid application, as I mentioned, as a prerequisite to receiving a high school diploma, so prior to graduating. This includes students that even are going to graduate early, so even if they're going to graduate in the month of December, they would have to meet this requirement. I know that gets a little bit tricky, being that for the 2024-2025 school year, the financial aid application wasn't available until after December. So if you had a student who was graduating early, this meant that they might have had to complete the non-participation form. It's going to be the same thing for every year, but hopefully that once it is available on October 1st, it means that you can have your students on track to graduate every time. They file a FAFSA, like I mentioned, file an application for state financial aid, which is the alternative application for those who meet the requirements, or file the non-participation form, the waiver form. What does this mean for schools? So each school district has to provide support or assistance for each student to comply with the graduation requirement. It is not intended to keep students from graduating. Rather, it is intended for students to have an opportunity to explore their options that otherwise wouldn't even have thought that college was something that they can afford. And then we do have the non-participation form. So this is going to be if they're unable to submit the financial aid application or the waiver, the student or the parent cannot complete that waiver form. The principal does have the option to attest that a good faith effort was made to assist the student to file an application or waiver, and they just didn't, so that the student can graduate. So really, again, there are several steps for a student to be able to complete this, for this not to be an obstacle for them to graduate. For the financial aid application non-participation form, this is going to be a form, it's a virtual form. It indicates that the student understands what the FAFSA and the alternative application are, and they have chosen not to file an application. The waiver also includes information not only as what is the FAFSA and what is the alternative application. It has information on what assistance is available. It has information as what are the maximum amounts that a student would be eligible for or could be eligible for by completing a FAFSA or alternative application for the Pell Grant or the MAP Grant. This form is going to be available every year. Every time the FAFSA or alternative application become available, the non-participation form will be updated and available on our student portal. So that is the way I know when the school year 2020-2021, that was the first year that this was being implemented, and there were paper waiver forms, but now to make it easier for students to complete it and to make it easier for you all to be able to track it, we do have that on our student portal. To complete the waiver online, students will have to complete the waiver form through our ISAC student portal. When the student goes onto the ISAC student portal, they would go under program applications and status checks. When they select there, they would be able to see all of the program applications available, but also they'll see the FAFSA non-participation form. They'll be able to submit it on there, and the student, in order for them to submit it, they do have to create an account for the student portal. And then once they do create that account and they complete and submit the non-participation form, the information gets transferred over to GAP Access under your class roster in the Gift Assistance Program Access portal. Students who are 18 can complete the waiver themselves. But if the student is not 18, we can have the parent be the ones who complete that form as well. With the non-participation form, it is not the end all be all. The waivers, I know we have a lot on our table, and sometimes the waivers are presented as the only option for compliance for a school district to be able to meet that compliance. It is also not an added barrier to students and parents, and it's not the end of a conversation about post-secondary options. The non-participation form, the FAFSA, the alternative application, although it could seem like it could be really hard to get a student to come to a workshop or to complete it, with having maybe a good 30 minutes with an adult or someone who can help them complete it, it's going to be 30 minutes of really 30 minutes of really good information they wouldn't have otherwise had. So it is not intended, again, to be a barrier. It is not intended to be the end all be all just to meet the graduation requirement. It is intended for it to be the last step in really informing the student what they're choosing to give up. For the waiver form, once they get into our student portal and they select the FAFSA non-participation form, they'll be taken to the financial aid application non-participation form, as you see on the screen here. It'll then prompt the student to start completing their information that is going to be for the non-participation form. They are going to have to select if they are the student or the parent. They'll have to select the school name, the school district, and the student name. Not that they have to select that. They'll have to put that information because there won't be a drop-down menu with the name of the students. They'll have to select the school name and then be able to input all of the information. The student's birthday as well. And then if the student, if it prompts them that they are under 18, it'll prompt them to go to the next step, which is the parent or legal guardian name. Now, again, this information that does get connected with Gap Access. It's information that will help you all keep track of who's completing the application. I mean, the non-participation form versus the application. So you just want to make sure that the student knows when they're completing this information that they're putting the right school name. Especially if you live in a district or work in a district that maybe has an east, west, south school, right, within that same district, making sure that they're putting the right school so that it can show up on your profile during Gap Access. Once they fill out their information, they'll be able to see the certification statement. It's a little bit hard to see, but you will. We can send the slides, but this is going to be up on our student portal. But the certification statement states, I have read the information on the frequently asked questions about the free application for federal student aid document. I understand that the FAFSA and alternative application for Illinois financial aid, what they are, and I chose not to submit a completed financial aid application at this time. I also understand that by not completing a FAFSA or alternative application for Illinois financial aid, I will not be considered for the Illinois Monetary Award Program, MAP grant, of up to $8,400 for the federal Pell Grant of up to $7,395. Submitting this non-participation form does not preclude me from filling out the FAFSA or the alternative application for the Illinois financial aid leader. I certify that I am the parent or legal guardian of the student listed above. This is in the case we're walking through a scenario that this is going to be the parent or legal guardian. Or I am the student and I am either at least 18 years of age or a legally emancipated minor. So they'll be able to certify the information and then they will have that be completed. As you can see in the last part of the statement, this does not mean that if a student completes this application or this form, this does not mean that they can go back and complete the FAFSA. It could be that maybe at the time they thought, you know what, maybe we're joining the armed forces and I don't need to complete a FAFSA or financial aid application. And at the end of the year, if they choose to change their mind and they apply for schools, they can come back and complete the FAFSA. This does not mean that it's going to keep the student from applying for financial aid. Once the student or the parent signs and submit, the student will have the option to download the form for their own records. This is going to be helpful again for if something is not matching on Gap Access, if you are in charge of following up with students to confirm that they have met the requirement and it's not coming up on your roster as a student completing it. If they do have that downloaded form for their own records, it's something that they can present to you and it could be like a red flag as to like, let me look into it, let me reach out to ISEC, let me see what's wrong. The student will then receive a confirmation email of their submission. It'll let them know, and I apologize because I do not have an updated screenshot for this. So it'll let them know, congratulations, you have successfully completed this is the outdated part, 2023-2024 financial aid application non-participation form. You may download a copy of the form below. The non-participation form submitted through ISEC student portal will be matched and reported to schools through the gift assistance program. So they'll get this, receive this email as a confirmation form. And again, they'll have the option to download the form for their records as well. I do know that in conversation with schools, a couple of schools do like to keep the copies of the paper forms for the records just to have it, especially because that was how it initially started or how the graduation requirement had started. So yeah, they'll have the option for that as well. Once a student submits their application, they can always go back and manage their submission as well. It's not going to be the end all be all. You submitted a non-participation form. Now there's nothing you can do. They'll be able to come back and make those edits to their submission if they're needed. If they put the wrong high school, they can come back and manage that submission as well. There is also the good faith effort form. Now, we do understand some of the questions when we talk about the non-participation form. Some of the questions that we get asked are on a case-by-case basis, right? What if I have a student that has a disability, they're over the age of 18 and they can't complete the form? And because they're over the age of 18, the parent might not be able to complete the form as well. So we do have the good faith effort form. This is going to be for if the student or parent cannot or does not want to complete a financial aid application or the waiver. This is going to be something that only the principal can complete, and it's going to be the good faith effort form. Only the high school principal is going to be able to do this, and this is only going to be available via GAP access. I know, again, in the past, it was something that was available in paper form, but it's now going to be something that it's not going to be through the student portal. The student portal houses the non-participation form, but the good faith effort form is going to be through GAP access. To complete the good faith effort form, the principal does have to go on GAP access. It'll be blacked out if they are not able to do it for every student. So the example we have here for the first student, they completed the paper waiver or the paper waiver or the opt-out waiver. We have that check mark on there. And then we move on to good faith effort. If you look at the third row for the student that has not completing anything, we are able to check on that box. Once they do check that box, they will have the next window, which is the good faith effort details. It'll have the student's name. It'll have the description of the extenuating circumstance. It'll have the description of the good faith effort to assist the student. The principal will attest to good faith effort to assist the student. And then it'll ask for the name of the person completing this good faith effort form, and they're able to save it. Therefore, because the GAP access roster, it is documentation that's acceptable for ISB. In order for the school to meet the requirement, it'll just keep track of all of that on here. So once they select good faith effort details, you can have a class roster that completely met all of the graduation requirements specifically. All right, I do want to remind all attendees that we do have the Q&A that's going to be on the bottom right side of your screen. If you are on your desktop, it'll be a little box with a question mark. So if you have any questions, I do have two of my colleagues here joining me today, so they'll be able to help you out with answering those questions. All right. So I apologize if you can hear my dog barking. So with the Financial Application Completion Initiative, we would be utilizing the Financial Aid Application Initiative for those schools to be able to have access to data, which will allow them to track students who have completed a financial aid application or non-participation form, identify students who have not completed a financial aid application or non-participation form, or identify if a student needs assistance with their financial aid application. If they filed a FAFSA, but no SAI was generated. It'll help you. We'll walk through some messages that you will get on GAP access and what it can mean for the student needing additional assistance. We have the financial aid application data matching. This is the process that goes behind closed doors for you all to be able to have access to your students' information. So pretty much we have the students' information from ISB. And then once we do receive information from the Department of Education on FAFSA's completed and also internally with the alternative application and the waiver form, we match that information to ISB's rosters that they provide. And that is how part of the information gets matched. This is going to be, since the information, the rosters do come from ISB, every other class roster for private schools, they do have to upload their own roster, but the private schools also have the option of having access to FAFSA or financial aid application data matching. Your student roster, again, then gets matched with the FAFSAs and the alternative application that are filed every day. ISAC does update the school rosters every day. That is one of the newer features. When I think it started back when it was, I can't even say the year. I can't think of the year. But a couple years ago, the roster and the data matching would get uploaded on a Monday. So if a school completed or had a financial aid application workshop and the student completed the application on Wednesday, then on Thursday, the school wouldn't be able to see that reflection of the student completing the information. They would have to wait till the following Monday. So updating the roster every day is a new feature, so you have access to information. This is going to be really helpful, especially, again, same scenario. You hosted a financial aid application workshop on Wednesday. The student completed it on Wednesday. On Thursday, when you look on Gap Access, you see that you don't have the information for the student. That could be a red flag, and that could be something, well, not a red flag. That can be an indicator for you to talk to the students, see what information isn't matching. Maybe they put the wrong high school. Maybe you have a different name under ISB's class roster from what their name is. So it'll be a good opportunity for you to be able to check in with your students a lot sooner. All right, so with ISAC update, ISAC does update the financial aid application completion data on ISAC's website every Monday. So the financial aid application completion data is different from that data that's on Gap Access. The financial aid application completion data, I have a screenshot in this presentation of what it looks like, but that is going to be completion data overall for the school. So that you don't see single student data. This is going to be available to the public. You can look through any of the schools, maybe in your district, to see what the completion rate is versus compare yours. But that specific financial aid application completion data, that gets updated on Monday versus the school's roster that gets updated every day through Gap Access. For the data matching being delayed, we are looking into this. I still kept this slide just because the FAFSA was launched late November 2024. Last year, it was last FAFSA, it was available after December. So as I mentioned, the process of the data matching is that we receive the roster from ISB, and then we receive the information from federal student aid, and then we match that information. I did look into it right before we started the webinar as to when it's going to be available, because both of those things must happen in order for us to be able to data match. So I kept it on here. This was what we had on the website last year, but just as a heads up, hopefully we'll be able to follow up to let you all know when data matching is available. Also, the best way to know any updates that we have is also by signing up for our e-messaging. Through our e-messaging, thank you. I am seeing some questions being answered through our e-messaging. Usually when things come available on Gap Access, when state scholars get announced and all of that, we do send that through e-messaging. What the high schools have available to them, the data, is going to be the list of students. They'll have aggregate data for the entire student body. They'll be able to see number of MAP eligible students. They'll be able to see the number of Pell eligible students, and then they'll also be able to see the student aid index, the ranges for those SAIs. So they'll have all of this data available. So I'll talk about the process of getting access to GAP access in a minute. But once you do have access, this is what you'll have information. You'll also have access to information from previous class years. So that you're able to see the class size, maybe for last year, how many students were MAP eligible versus this year, compare it to demographics at your schools, and be able to see, you know, where can our resources go. We do, especially for private high schools, they're only going to be the ones who have the option to upload their roster. As of right now, again, ISB sends us the roster for the public high schools. So private high schools do have to upload this, and they'll be the only ones that are able to upload this. So they'll be able to update the most up-to-date list of their current seniors, so that they can receive the most accurate data. The list that they have, if they had entered a list before, it would replace all history of the class. It would replace that information. So the roster, it cannot be a partial roster. It has to be a full roster because the previous history of the class will be replaced. So if you have 3 new students, it doesn't mean that you create a roster and upload those 3 new students. It means that you have your original roster and you add those 3 students on it, and then you're able to upload it. It ensures that all data is correct when private schools are uploading their their own rosters. And then the file must be formatted in Microsoft Excel 2003 or above, or a CSV file. And it has to include at least the student's last name, the student's first name, the middle initial, and the date of birth for the student. Again, this is also why it's really important. If you have information from your student, let's say my colleague Tommy is on here, right? His name is Thomas. If you have him on your roster for whatever reason as Tommy, and when he completed the FAFSA, he completed as Thomas, that it might be a reason why you won't see him as completed on your roster. There is also the functionality of downloading a report. The class report is going to be available for private and public schools to be able to download. It'll include information in a similar format than what is presented on GAP Access. It'll just, similar format, it'll just be more printer-friendly version of it. It can be saved or printed. And like I mentioned earlier, it is the class roster from GAP Access. It does meet the compliance for the entire class submitting a financial aid application or non-participation form. So it does demonstrate compliance with what ISB needs in regards to knowing that your students were meeting the requirement to graduate. Data can be sorted as needed, including sorting through the data to create reports on financial aid form completion. If you need to extract data on just students who completed the FAFSA, if you need to extract data or sort the data based on MAP eligible students and Pell eligible students versus a student that didn't complete the application, that students who completed the non-participation form. This is an example of the reports that you'll have access to, that you'll be able to retrieve from GAP Access. So you'll be able to have the last name, first name, middle initial, date of birth. It'll give you, as you can see on the FAFSA status column, no FAFSA filed. As you can see from the no FAFSA filed, then we can also see that we had selected that we wanted to export all of the files of that we wanted to export files that were with the paper waiver completed. So they didn't complete a FAFSA, so you're able to extract that information. There is the add and delete functionality for students on here. So the user can edit the student's name and date of birth on Gap Access. You can also add new students to the record to your school list. So if you're coming back to you can edit username, the student's name and date of birth. Again, if it's information that's not matching with what's on the FAFSA, because through the FAFSA, they use their social security card to make sure that everything's correct, you can come back and make those edits on here. You have that functionality. You also have the functionality of adding student records to your school list. If you, in the middle of the year prior to ISB having your roster, right, you have new students, or if you had students that are no longer in your school, you can delete them. This is for the example that I said that all information is going to be overridden, or if you upload a roster, the information from the previous roster for private schools are going to be erased and replaced by the new information. So if you have 3 new students that you need to upload, it doesn't mean that you create a small roster of 3 new students. You come on here and you do the add and delete functionality in order to add or delete students or changes to reflect the most accurate information about your school's roster. If the application or waiver is showing as not completed on Gap Access, it can be a matter of the timing of when the financial aid application or waiver was submitted. We do upload the information daily, but if for whatever reason, if the times are kind of off, if they completed it at midnight and we get information, let's say 11 p.m., by midnight, you might not be able to access that information until the next business day. The student's name does not match with what the school has on record due to first and last name being switched. If they filed the wrong application year, every time the FAFSA or alternative application become available, there are 2 application years available for each application. So as of right now, if you go on to complete the FAFSA, the student will be able to see that they can start on the 24-25 FAFSA or 25-26 FAFSA. So if the student maybe they're in the 24-25 school year and they submit and complete that application, then you won't be able to see their information if you're on Gap Access, because if you go to class of 2025, they completed the application, they completed the application and won't be showing there because they completed the application for the previous year. They might have entered middle initial on the FAFSA and you don't have that middle initial on Gap Access or your roster. They entered a suffix, entered a hyphenated name, they entered the wrong date of birth, or entered a different high school. In order to sign up for Gap Access, if you already haven't done so, school principals have to certify and agree to the terms and conditions of the Financial Aid Application Completion Initiative Participation Agreement for Illinois Educational Entities. It's a long it's a long agreement, or name for an agreement. The school principal, after they sign and certify this agreement, they will have to designate privileges to authorized users, meaning that the principal is the only one that can assign individuals within the school to have access to this. So if there is a new counselor or you are a new counselor in your school and you don't have access to Gap Access, you will need to talk to your principal for them to give you privileges to be an authorized user. Once both of those steps have been completed, the designated users will have access to student data. If you do have any questions about Gap Access, or you're like, you know what, I already talked to my principal, we want more information as to how they can give me privileges, contact ISAC School Services at isaac.schoolservices@illinois.gov, and they'll be able to assist you with that process, including if there's an error in your roster, if you are seeing there's an error with your student and you want help with solving that, reach out to isaac.schoolservices@illinois.gov. As something that I still consider new is going to be the Recognition of Excellence Awards. This is going to be a recognition for efforts from high schools that focus on supporting their students and families through the financial aid process. I'll have the scale in a minute as to how that recognition gets portioned out. It is going to be based on the school's financial aid application completion rates. These rates are calculated based on the high school's class roster that were provided in one of two ways, from ISB or if a private school uploaded their own class roster. So this is where what the information is based on. For the financial aid application completion, that is something that is what I was mentioning that gets uploaded every Monday versus information on Gap Access being updated every day. So every Monday on our website, if you go to isaac.org/home/FAFSA/index, it's a big link, but if you also Google ISAC Financial Aid Application Completion Initiative, you'll be prompted to go onto this page. You'll be able to see information be uploaded every Monday where you're able to see what your high school's completion rates are. You can also see, like I mentioned, other high schools completion rate. For the recognition itself, these are going to be the performance metrics. A school gets the recognition of being a platinum school if they have a 95% completion rate, a gold if they have an 85 completion rate or above, and a silver if they have a 75 completion rate or above, and then a bronze if they have a 65% completion rate or above. Again, the average prior to this being a requirement, the average completion rate in the state was 60%. So this is recognizing all of the schools that do go a little bit above and beyond for helping students complete the financial aid application. So this does not reflect if you are keeping track of non-participation form. This is only reflecting data based on FAFSA and alternative applications being completed. If a student completed the non-participation form and then completed the FAFSA, on here it would be reflected as that student being part of the percentage completing the FAFSA. It overwrites the information. All right, we are coming to the end of our webinar. So just an additional resource, we have the First Generation Scholars Network. Students are able to join this network by going onto our student portal and selecting the join under First Generation Scholars, selecting the Join Now button and putting up their information. So they can be able to have access with to connect with a First Generation Scholar Network mentor. These tend to be our ISAC core members who are also First Generation themselves. They'll be able to find any First Generation programs that are going to be on campus. So we have a list of all of the colleges and universities that might have additional resources, a specific center designated just for First Generation students. They'll be able to also join check-in events with other First Generation students. The services are going to be free to all students. And yeah, this is something that's a little bit newer that's a little bit newer of a resource, but if you know any First Generation students, or if you were one yourself, you know the value of being able to have access to social capital and being able to have a specific point of contact to be able to navigate the process and what it looks like for you as a First Generation student. We also, as of last year, started having the FAFSA Communication Toolkit. This is a resource that our partners can use with their families. It'll give them best practices regarding the changes to this year's financial aid application. It'll give them templates that they can use to send emails to families in English and Spanish. It'll be templates that they can use to email volunteers who might be helping with a financial aid application workshop. It'll have specific robocall scripts in English and Spanish for if you're doing a call for the parents, flyers, social media posts in English and Spanish as well. And this is going to be, all of these templates are available at no cost. They're up on our website still. All right, for those of you who joined us for CE and PD requests, please provide your feedback for today's session by completing the evaluation that's going to be posted on the chat. In order for you to request PD hours, you must submit your Illinois Educator Identification Number, your EIN. I know sometimes we have participants who are not joining us for the PD opportunities. The EIN is something very specific that will be more for those who have to provide proof of PD hours to SB in order for them to be able to keep their license open. So making sure that you do have that EIN if you're completing the evaluation. But if you're not seeking PD hours, you can still complete our evaluation. Give us some feedback as to how we did. So we encourage everyone to be able to go on and complete this evaluation. And the link has been posted on the chat. I saw it pop up. That's going to be, the chat's going to be on the bottom right corner of your screen. We are at the end of our presentation for today, but if you have any questions, feel free to always reach out to us at isaac.outreachtraining@illinois.gov. Like I mentioned, we are not, we don't have the official, not statement. I cannot say for sure today that data matching is available, and I don't want to give wrong information. If you sign up to our e-messages, once those things become available, they do tend to send out e-messages. So that's going to be the best way to keep up to date with anything you need to know on Gap Access and any of our programs and offerings as well. Thank you all for joining me today. And I will leave this meeting